both Ribale and myself, Guillaume, we work for the life science industry group. Ribale is coming from nuclear medicines business. I'm a biologist. So we are not software developers nor pure CAD engineers. We are more coming from the business side. And in the industry group, we work with life sciences, medical device, pharma customers all over the world. And it's important for us to try to explain what we see as a vision. You've heard many things, and try to catch and capture from you where we should put our softwares, and then try to infuse that message to the R&D and whole Dassault system. And in Dassault system, we used to talk about experience. You heard this word a lot. And what we believe is that the story is the experience, and we came with a story today. So we will try to explain that. Why are we coming with this story? Because we want to try to illustrate and show how we can connect all what you saw this morning or yesterday or earlier today, BioVia assets, Similia capabilities, pharma concerns, medical device concerns. So we will not necessarily talk about brands. That's not what we have in mind today. We'll more talk about this story. And the other reason why we also came with a story, and that's what we will explain, it's because most of the time we can't show or tell exactly what our users are doing with our softwares. Sometimes we don't even know what they are doing, and sometimes it's not allowed. So we decided to create and act with a couple of people coming from the business and said, hey, what about inventing our own, not dog food, but champagne, in order to have our own stories and our own product and sit in the shoes of you guys. So what do we expect from you? We expect from you to challenge that story and tell us if we are a bit crazy or totally crazy. But we also expect you to challenge it, but also to spend this 45, 60 minutes to think and try to think if it resonates in your company. Of course, it will not fit exactly with what you are doing on a daily basis, but we believe that it will help you to, you'll see it's a little bit futuristic, so probably you will see and identify some of the challenge you have, and probably what I'd like you to keep as a key takeaway at the end of the story is that when we talk about digital, when we talk about software, we do not see softwares and digital just as a commodity. We believe that in this industry, and that's what you said, Dan, when you said maybe in the future our software alone can cure cancer. You are telling that probably tomorrow you will not develop. People won't see you as a medical device, a machine maker, but you will cure people with software. I don't know if you heard in the news recently. There is 2 companies which had market authorization for digital therapeutics. So Sanofi, who is now selling an iPhone application which allow to not totally cure, but address Parkinson's disease. And there is another one, I don't remember the name of the company, a small company in the US, selling a smartphone application which is helping to reduce the use of opioid during a back pain crisis. And you know that, especially in the US, the opioid thing is a huge challenge. So it means that those companies are not doing chemistry anymore, or only chemistry. They put software on the market. It serves the patient. And when I explain software is not just a commodity. It's not just buying a PLM or buying a document management solution to sustain your business. It can be useful in the way you address your customers, patient, physician, depending your business. So I believe that when we talk about digital, when we talk about softwares, it's more than just being your provider. So yes, today we are mostly Dassault Systèmes and TECHNIA, a commodity provider. We are selling the licenses and you use the software. It will probably change in the future, and that's something we will probably do in partnership with some of you. We've discussed the acquisition of company like Medidata, or partnership with this small French startup called BioSerenity doing smart wearable. That's a way for us to go into that direction. The other thing we will see in that presentation is that, so when we talk about this digital transformation, John, this morning, Jonas, Olivier, and even Anneli, you mentioned about sustainability, imagine new business model, realizing the value of digital business transformation. I think we are sharing the same story here. So that's the message we want to explain with that story. So let me introduce the story. And the first part of the experience is that I'm not using any PowerPoint anymore. I'm using the platform to explain the story. So you've probably seen a couple of images while I was talking. Let me introduce what we invented here and the story. So I introduced the usage on the patient standpoint. I will introduce IASO, who is the product we're talking here about, and then we will move all together through these 5 steps to explain what it means, not for the patient or the physician, but for the manufacturer, how this product could have been invented for that. So the story is around cancer and brain cancer particularly. And so I don't know if you heard about this. You often heard about precision medicines, personalized medicines, and kind of revolution. Even if you are not biologists, you've probably heard about chemotherapy. You've probably heard a little bit about immunotherapy, so kind of new revolutionary type of drugs. So let me explain how it works. Technically, during decades, cancer have been fight with chemical drugs, so chemistry. The way it works, it's, you obviously know the goal, kill cancer cells. So it's a war against cancer, and chemotherapy means massive bombing in that war. So you put chemical drugs almost everywhere, and you try to kill as many cancer cells as possible. It has adverse events. You all know the adverse events and from people suffering chemotherapy. So I will not talk about radiotherapy, which is also a very good way to cure cancer, but I realize it's not part of my storytelling. I need to improve that, but so let's focus on the immunotherapy. A couple of years ago, the pharma business turned from chemical drugs to biological drugs. The way it works is that's the protein which is at the surface of the cancer cell, and which is really specific to the cancer cell. That's not a protein you find in the normal cell. So that's the target in my war. So what I will do is, as a pharma company, I will invent a weapon. So what we call a biologic drug, which is an antibody, which will act as a key and which will be target exactly this exact receptors, and will block the action of this molecule. So by doing that, really like a key in a door, closing the door, you will totally block the process, stop the progression of the cancer cell, without, so I will over-summarize, but without adverse events globally. Okay, it's not super perfect because this one could depend from one patient to another, so it doesn't work exactly all the time, but it's a huge promise because when it works, it's really, really better than chemical drug, and it's really more comfortable because you don't have any adverse events. That's where comes the second challenge. The second challenge is that what we call these molecules large molecules, so not as big as this one, but really bigger than chemical drugs. And the consequence is that when you manufacture this drug, it comes in a liquid form, So it's not a pill or a tablet, it's in a liquid form, which is highly viscous, a little bit like jam. And you need to inject what we call in pharma large volume, which is 5 to 10 milliliters, so not super large for a beer drinker, but for drugs it's quite big. And doing the injection with a syringe would take, depending on the drug, for this one it would take 40 minutes. So you invent the best drug ever without any adverse events. So you could technically say, chemotherapy is like 5 to 6 injections every 21 days. So you could tell to someone, you know what, no adverse events anymore. So you feel better, so you can stay at work. And now guess what? You need to come back to the hospital every 21 days and stay at the hospital. It costs a lot in taxi, in the hospital cost because of the viscosity of the drug. And I can't ask a nurse to come back in your home and do the injection because you can't ask someone to do the 40-minute injection with a syringe. So we came with another idea, which is what about transporting the hospital to at home? So that's what we call it. It's another trend in that business, the point of care shift. The way it works: the first time you go to the hospital, you will have a needle in your vein with a patch, which is stick to with an adhesive to your skin, positioned by the physician. You go back home and you receive, with a super advanced supply chain, a box like this, in which you have devices, a large volume wearable injector, which is made of 2 parts. First part being the injector itself, and then a cartridge. The cartridge being the part you have there, with the drug in it. You plug the cartridge to the injectors. The system, the embedded softwares can recognize if it is connected to your smartphone if the prescription is good. And you plug it to the patch. You push the play button, and it delivers, controlled by the injectors, the injection in like 40, 60 minutes. You can pause the injection because sometimes viscous product can hurt in the injection. So it's not super comfortable, but probably better than going to the hospital. So that's the idea we had in mind. There is large volume wearable injectors which already exist on the market. You know, insulin pump, for instance. There are probably people in the room using that type of pump. There is devices, and especially a company like Amgen or Sanofi or GSK, for some of the product, and sometimes in oncology, they use large volume wearable injectors. Most of the time, it's not connected, and there is not all what we've invented in our system, because what we said is that let's dream, let's be crazy. What about addressing the sustainability topic and use these injectors 6 times, 7 times without putting that to the trash? Challenge is, yeah, but there is, in the pump, there is biologic. You wait 21 days. How will you clean that? So we thought about that. Then what about connecting that to the softwares and to the iPhone? What about replacing that, the injector, the cartridge, by something else? You know that there is DNA sequencer which are not larger than that, and we said we could use the pump in the other way, get some blood drop, and do liquid biopsy. So if my drug is killing the cancer cell, then the cancer cell will explode, and then if they explode, the DNA of the cancer cell will be distributed in the blood, which is not a problem. But which means that if you be able to sequence your blood and identify cancer DNA, it means that the drug is working. So far, the way chemotherapy is working is you get a prescription, and more or less 4-5 months after, the doctors check if it works. And sometimes for certain type of cancer, they can't adapt the treatment. So there is a lot of things to do that, a lot of advantage to do that. So we've invented things like this, and we said, okay, now, dear pharma customer, dear medical device customer, that's the type of devices, of product you would love to have. Because that's when you're telling me that we want to target the the patient experience, that's what you have in mind. When I was working in a big pharma company, I was part of the R&D, I was developing, part of a team developing drugs and molecules. Honestly, I didn't remember, I was aware about the way this drug will be delivered to the patient. It was not my problem. It was like, and same for the manufacturing. What we think is that if we think about that, of course the drug itself is super important and will still cost billions of dollars to be invented. And we are not saying that the wearable device could be as much expensive, but it's probably this, without that, could have a competitive and an efficacy consequence really different. But if you want to do that, I don't know if you noticed, who thought about the adhesive on the skin? Someone thought I was crazy by saying that you could have a patch and keep it 6 months on your skin. Probably not feasible to imagine that the adhesive stay even 3 weeks or 4 weeks. If you're not allowed to take a shower, it's probably not the best patient comfort. So, challenge about the adhesive, challenge about the plastic, change about the fluidics, change about the electronics. In pharma company, in medical device company, you know, there is engineers, there is chemist, sometimes biologist, but where is the software developer? Where is the best simulation expert? Where they prefer to go to Facebook, to Google, to other companies. So being sustainable is also finding a way to attract them to be part of this long-term vision, and that's challenges. So we came with that, and we said, okay, now we will show you a story, and we'll try to explain how you can use, in our case, the platform and a series of softwares to think about the development of that type of product, not addressing first the drug and then the device and then think about the manufacturing, but think about everything holistically, starting from the early stages with the purpose in mind. The beginning of the story is, I want to cure brain cancer with a competitive advantage and difference, which is I want to use delivery at home and not at the hospital. So we've invented this show, and we will spend 5 minutes on each of these 5 points of demonstration, explaining how we really used our software to invent that story. At the beginning of this, we were thinking about using a coated stent or the Living Art project, and we did a study, we collaborated all together to invent that. Then we did the same in the lab for the drug, for the device, and for the manufacturing. So, except this 3D printed prototype, everything is, I won't say fake, because it's true in the fact that we did the simulation, we did the modeling for the drug and for the device, but there is nothing you can touch except the 3D printed prototypes you can see here. So we've tried our own softwares to do not everything, but most of the concept.